Welcome to the deep dive, where we kind of take those sources you're super curious about and we distill them down to the good stuff. Today, you've hit us up with Matt Furey's ebook, Forget the Weights, Forget the Cardio, and you basically want the down low on his whole fitness philosophy without, having to wade through every single detail.
Yeah, he definitely has a strong opinion, right? Like, it's one of those things where you kind of have to dive in and say, okay, what's he saying? How is he backing it up? And that's what we're here for.
Right on. So, the central argument is that body weight training, which he calls pumping your own weight, is actually superior to traditional weights and tons of cardio. He's all about how it builds real strength, like usable strength, stamina, and that makes you more flexible too.
And what's interesting is his background really gives him a lot of credibility because he's not just, some random guy talking about fitness. He's an NCAA national wrestling champion. He trained with Dan Gable.
Whoa.
Yeah, a legend. Coached by Mike Deanna, Bruce Baumgartner, big names. Then he goes on to become the first non-Chinese world champion in Shuaiqiao. And in Grappling Magazine, he's named the King of Catch Wrestling.
So this guy knows a thing or two about, pushing the body.
Exactly. So when he comes out and says these things, it's like, okay, let's hear what he has to say, because he's walked the walk.
He really has. And he's super dismissive of those isolation exercises, those, bicep curls and tricep extensions and all that jazz. He's like, those are pointless because they don't build the strength you need for, moving around in the real world.
Right, exactly. Because they're not treating the body as a single unit. He's looking at how the body works together, like in wrestling, martial arts, where you need that strength to be expressed through your whole body.
It's not just about isolating one muscle. And then you've got this, huge influence on his thinking, Carl Gotch. Gotch, even in his 70s, was super strong and always talking about how you need flexibility and strength to really be healthy. And there's this great story where Gotch basically challenges Furey, asks him, can all that weightlifting you've been doing actually translate to these basic bodyweight exercises? And Furey, couldn't do them.
That's going to be a wake-up call, here you are thinking you're strong, and then you can't even do these basic things. It really challenges your definition of strength, right?
Totally. So that brings us to his program, Combat Conditioning.
Yeah.
And the big stars here are the Hindu squat and the Hindu push-up. And the Hindu squat isn't just your average squat. It's got this whole swinging arm thing, and you come up on your toes. And the Hindu push-up is even crazier. It's like a downward dog from yoga mixed with a super dynamic push-up.
Yeah, it's like this cool blend, right? It's taking influences from Eastern traditions and Western traditions and kind of fusing them together.
It's kind of like Bruce Lee's approach, right? He was huge on bodyweight training.
Absolutely. And Furey even points out that, Bruce Lee's serious injury actually happened while weightlifting, not during his martial arts training.
That's pretty wild. And Furey goes even further back, talking about Farmer Burns, this legendary U.S. wrestler from way back.
The 1900s, yeah.
And he was all about these breathing exercises, similar to Qigong. So Furey's kind of saying, look, this isn't some new fad. People have been focusing on body control and whole body conditioning for centuries.
Yeah, it's not just about lifting the most weight. It's about how you control your body, how efficiently you move, and how that strength translates to, real life situations.
It makes you think, right?
It does. And there's this testimonial in the book from a guy named Paul Thompson. He practices Ashtanga yoga, and he found that adding combat conditioning actually made him stronger and more fluid without feeling too tight or too skinny, which he felt happened with just yoga or just weights.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
Right, that sweet spot where you're not just focusing on one aspect of fitness, but you're developing your body in a more well-rounded way.
That's what Furey's all about. He wants you to have more control, be able to do more things with your body. He uses this analogy of animals in the wild, they're not hitting the gym, but
they're ripped.
They are. They can do some crazy stuff just using their own body weight.
It's a good point, right? What's more functional than that?
So now let's talk about Furey's take on weight training, because honestly, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He calls it his less than humble opinion, and he goes straight for the jugular on the whole weights only thing.
He does not mince words.
Not at all. He talks about his own shoulder injury from bench pressing and back problems from deadlifts. And while he says some people can train with weights and be fine, he brings up Jack LaLanne, who's super into calisthenics and known for crazy feats of strength.
And LaLanne wasn't just about pumping iron. He was about overall fitness, longevity, and pushing his body in all sorts of ways. So even someone like him saw the value in bodyweight training.
For sure. And Furey's like, I'm 100% convinced my exercises get faster, better results. He even puts this urgent news bulletin in the book, talking about how bodyweight training is becoming super popular.
It's funny because it's like a marketing tactic, but also he's making a point. Like, people are realizing that bodyweight training can give you strength, stamina, and flexibility all in one.
And he actually challenges weight training experts to come at him and prove him wrong.
That's bold.
It is. So he backs up his claims with all these crazy examples and stories. Like, he talked about the Burabeg tribe in Tanzania, these guys who hunt lions and elephants, and they do this bridging exercise. They touch their nose to the ground, pick up a stick with their tongue, and then stand back up.
That's next level core strength.
It's unreal. And then he's got all these testimonials from people like David Woods, who had 2 rotator cuff surgeries from lifting weights, and is now trying to get into handstands with Furey's help.
Which kind of shows, lifting heavy weights can come with risks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's Matthew Balkman, who lost 40 pounds and got super strong in just 4.5 months doing Furey's royal cord exercises. He even stopped most other workouts.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. And this guy, Paul Sousa, who plays basketball, felt a huge difference in his game after just 1 week of Hindu squats, even though he could already squat over 450 pounds.
So it's not just for beginners, right? Even if you're already strong, it can take you to another level.
And Brad Booher, man, he talks about feeling more energized, calmer, more focused, no joint pain, all after 1 week of Hindu squats.
All while under stress, too. That's a big one.
Totally. Then you've got Brian, a police officer, who says weightlifting didn't help him as much in a real fight as combat conditioning did.
That's the functional strength we were talking about, right? The kind you need in the real world, not just in the gym.
Exactly. Then we've got Pete Auckland, who hit 500 Hindu squats way faster than he thought just by writing down his goals. And finally, Paul Smith from Scotland, who says hill sprints, Hindu squats, and neck bridges from Furey's book helped him win a martial arts tournament.
So it's not just theory, it's actually helping people achieve real results in all sorts of areas.
Now, you might be wondering about cardio. Furey says those combat conditioning exercises get you breathing hard enough that you're good. He even says you don't need to go run for hours. He actually thinks those long, slow cardio sessions like marathons aren't as effective as hill sprints for, changing your body, boosting your metabolism, and all that.
It's about intensity, right? Short bursts of high effort rather than just slogging away for hours.
Yeah. And someone asked Furey about replacing running with his approach. He's like, just check your resting pulse and body fat after a month and see what happens.
It's like a challenge almost. Like, put it to the test and see for yourself.
Totally. He specifically names 5 exercises that really get your metabolism going. Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups, bridging, hill sprints, and rope skipping. He says they work because they use a bunch of muscles all at once.
Yeah, they're compound movements. They make your body work harder, burn more calories.
Okay, so let's talk about the bench press, because Furey really has it out for the bench press. Someone asked him why he thinks push-ups are good and bench press is bad. And he's basically like, bench press is a recipe for a rotator cuff injury.
Yeah, he thinks it puts too much stress on the shoulder, especially if you're trying to lift super heavy.
With push-ups, your shoulders are moving more naturally, and you're using your own body weight, so it's safer.
And it builds functional strength, right?
Yeah.
Because you can progress to harder variations like handstand push-ups, one-arm push-up.
All that good stuff. And get this, Furey actually started his son on baby versions of these exercises when he was just a few weeks old. And by 18 months, the kid was doing Hindu squats and push-ups.
Wow. He really believes in this stuff. And it's interesting how he emphasizes making exercise fun for kids, not a chore.
So to wrap up our deep dive into Matt Furey's world, we've seen how he's all about bodyweight training for functional fitness, how he's not afraid to bash traditional weightlifting and long cardio sessions, and how he uses tons of stories and real-life examples to support his combat conditioning program.
He's definitely got a unique perspective, and whether you agree with everything he says or not, it's definitely thought-provoking.
Totally. And that's what the deep dive is all about. We take your sources, give you the key takeaways, and let you decide what resonates with you. So think about it. Could you benefit from adding more bodyweight movements into your routine? Could it help you achieve your fitness goals in a different way?
Maybe it's time to try something new, step outside the box.
Exactly. And that wraps up this deep dive. We hope you got some valuable insights and maybe even some new ideas to explore. Until next time.